what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is not being wishy-washy. It, in fact, represents a major part of our identity. And as Daniel Goleman points out, and others since Sima pointed out, emotional intelligence is about being conscious about your feelings and those of others. And we will use lots of examples, lots of hadith. We'll look at ayahs from the Quran. We will look at examples of people like Omar radiallahu anh, and even Aisha radiallahu anha, right? Emotional intelligence is about being conscious of our feelings and those of others. And this kind of summarizes it, that last sentence. It's about being intelligent about our emotions. And you know it and I know it, that when we're in Islamic organizations, very often we are, we want to do good. But on the way to doing good, we have people who backbite, people who get us angry. We have people who we have to motivate. So emotions are very important. And so emotions then are not a distraction and do not disrupt our lives. So as I've said, both the emotional brain and the rational brain are connected together. And that means our power to reason and our feelings are intended by our creator to work together. The question is, how do we do it? So moving on, here is a more formal definition of emotional intelligence. This is not from the original book by Daniel Goleman, which, if you haven't had a background in psychology, is kind of heavy and, if I may even say, a little bit boring. This is from a subsequent book that he wrote, and he's written quite a few books in there. He also has published articles in the Harvard Business Review. All these books, as well as the articles that he has published and others in that area, I'm going to be using today. And if you want a list of the references that I'm using for this particular presentation, you can email Dr. Reza and I'll provide him that information. So EI is or emotional intelligence is a capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others, for motivating ourselves, to energize ourselves, and for managing emotions well in ourselves and in our relationships. And as you can see, this transcends both our professional life, our life of activism in Islamic organizations, in doing dawah, and also our personal life. So for today, a lot of what I'm going to talk about, by the grace of Allah, and believe me, I am just touching the surface. One could speak easily for several days just talking about this. But as I said, I'm just giving you a synopsis so that you can go and do the research on your own and study it on your own. So what are my objectives for today? My objectives for today are threefold. First, to understand what emotional intelligence is and how it can improve our effectiveness as leaders. Secondly, to discuss the 5 competencies that determine one's level of emotional intelligence. And as said, I would encourage you to take the questionnaire to measure where you are on those 5 competencies. The third one, to explore how being smart with our emotions can improve, inshallah, our decision-making and leadership skills. So one of the points that I want to make here is that emotional intelligence is not fixed. It's not something that you're born with and you're done. No, it is something, because then what is the purpose of teaching you or for us to learn about it? Emotional intelligence, as we will see, can be developed. And there was a study done looking at 60 of the top entrepreneurs in the world. And they found out that all of them tend to use the limbic system, the emotional brain first, and then use their rational brain, which is a very interesting, something that we had not expected. Now, when we talk about emotions, emotions can be both positive or toxic, right? Especially if you look at type A personalities. Type A personalities still considered to be dangerous to one's health, because these kind of people, and probably all of you here and me too, we're a little bit type A. We tend to be very competitive. We tend to be very driven. And unfortunately, sometimes we tend to view any obstacle in our way. We tend to view anybody, we tend to view those kind of people as hostile. And when that happens, unfortunately, we know that from research in stress management and others, that hostility can actually not only psychologically hurt you, but physiologically hurt you, in the sense that it damages the heart, and some other things that myself and one of my co-authors will talk about when we talk about stress management from an Islamic perspective in a couple of weeks from now.